Hello everybody, welcome back to Reselling History. This video today, I got some cool watches that I recently purchased on eBay. I wanted to share this with you guys because one of them in particular is pretty neat and historical, and I'm considering holding on to it and restoring it and adding it to my collection. So let's get into it. I paid $35 for these watches. There's not a whole lot. They're mostly ladies' watches with exception of one. But these watches, they're anywhere from like 1930s era and older. So they're very old watches, vintage, antique. And they are super neat. For 35 bucks, it was a great deal. So let's open it up and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, everybody, we got the box open and we got our first subject matter right here. And this is a really unique looking watch, in my opinion. This is a Richter, at least it says that on the dial. I'll check the movement right now. But it's got a really nice dial design. It has a sub dial on the left-hand side, which is kind of unusual. And I think these lugs are called, it's like a horseshoe style lug. So this is probably like a 1930s, maybe 1940s era ladies watch. And you got the crown right there on the bottom, which is also an unusual design. Let's pop open the back right here and see if it's gold filled. All right, everybody, I got the case open and the movement taken out with my handy little kit that I bought on Amazon. There's a link down below if you're interested in purchasing that. And the movement here, it says Banner, and I have heard of this watch company before. I don't think it's anything too luxurious, but it has a really nice dial. And let's see if it says if it's gold filled right here in the case. And it says something. Let me zoom into that, you guys, so you can see. So it says gold plated. Yeah, I think it's 10 karat rolled gold plated. It's a fancy way of saying gold plated. But anyways, this watch is currently not running. The crown is not turning at all, and I don't want to force that. So it will need a repair. Is it worth repairing, this one? I am not entirely sure. It is a neat looking watch. Somebody might be willing to buy this to repair it themselves. Maybe like as it is, like a $20 or $30 watch, I would say. And we paid $35 for everything, so we're doing good so far. Now let's take a look at the next watch. All right, people, we got two watches here, and they both look almost identical, and they're little trench watches. And when I say trench watch, I mean these are early wrist watches, probably from the early 1900s to the teens, and these are smaller size. I know watches were small in general for men back then, but these are a little smaller than that also. So these are probably ladies' watches. It's unbranded on the front. Now this one on the left, this has been ticking and keeping time since I got it yesterday. So far keeping accurate time, but as you guys probably know, like, just because it's keeping time doesn't mean it will keep being accurate, especially when somebody wears it. You know, they kind of move it around with their wrist. I notice sometimes it'll stop for other watches I've had, but this one's engraved on the back, has a monogram. I'm gonna get these cases open because I think these might be sterling silver. So let me get these open and we'll see what it says. I'll look at the one that's running first, and let's zoom up on the movement here. Trying to handle this very carefully so I don't drop it, because that could be the end of it running. So it's a 15 jewels, and it has, I might need my magnifying for this, you guys. It has some movement information, like the maker right there, but it's really hard to make out. I'm gonna have to get my magnifying for this. But it is running. It looks beautiful too, that movement. Let me get my magnifying glass. All right, so they are both from the same company. It's called Elam Watch Company. They both have that on the movement. They're both 15 jewels, and it's always important to check the movement on watches. So if you buy a vintage watch, you want to buy a kit like this or something to open up the back if it's a snap case, or if it's a screw case, you use a tool like this, because you never know what movement is inside. You know, sometimes there's mystery dials, and who knows, maybe you'll find a Rolex or something. So it's always good to check. And these cases, both of them, are sterling silver. So that is pretty sweet. One of them is running, one of them is not. Get a nice little band for this. And I think this is like a $40 or $50 wristwatch. Maybe even a little more. These are definitely fragile watches though. So another cool find. It looks like we're probably in the profit margins now. So let's move on to the next watches. But here are the next two. And these two are not running. I just tried them out, and this one's just whining endlessly. But as you can see, it has a really cool Art Deco look to it. I think it's on the dial. It says, sorry for all this lighting, you guys. I think it says Goring, Goering. So we're gonna check the movement here, but the case has some really nice, oh, somebody marked it on the back, mainspring. It must need a mainspring on it. But it has some pretty nice kind of like yeah, etching, I don't know if you call that filigree type design on the case. And then the dial has some pretty neat looking gold numbers on it. There's some red mark here. Is that the case? Yeah, that must be inside those red marks because it's not coming off. And then the next watch here, I am not sure what it is. I cannot read the dial. It looks pretty darn worn. It's got this little, probably a fake sapphire right here for the crown. And this is another Art Deco era. These are probably, I'm gonna say these are probably like 1920s, like late 1920s era. Let's get them opened up and see what's inside. These mechanical watches, they're quite robust pieces. They can last a long time in running condition. Unfortunately, these didn't. There's probably a lot of oil and gunk built up in the movements. But this is a 15 jewel, and it's made in Canton, Ohio, and it's called the Mary Jane watch. I think this might be, I'll have to double check. It might be Ingraham watch or Ingersoll, kind of like one of the lower end type of watches. Even though this is a 15 jewel, it's a pretty good watch for that era. Yeah, unfortunately it's not running. But you know, this is I'm not sure if it's worth repairing for me, but there may be somebody out there who wants to repair it themselves and repaired with a nice band. It might be $100 watch, because it is gold filled, 14 karat gold filled case. So that's good news. It's still a nice parts watch to sell as it is. I think it's probably 30 or 40 bucks. And then this other watch here, this is S Maire, M-A-I-R-E, and this is a Swiss made, and it's 1 jewel. This is a 1 jewel watch, so not the highest quality. It's probably a fake sapphire. The crystal is acrylic crystal, so it's very yellowed, but still a neat looking watch from that era. That's what I love about vintage watches, you guys, is you can look at an old watch and be like, oh, that's from the 1920s, or dang, that watch right there is from the 1960s for sure, or the 1940s. That's World War II. That's why vintage watches are the best, in my opinion. Let's move on to the last two watches, you guys. This is a Goring watch. So I actually got confused with one of the last watches. This is the Goring watch, Goering. It actually shares a name with the high-ranking Nazi general Goring during World War II. But yeah, this is a sweet watch. I wound it up yesterday, and it's been keeping some good time. It's a little bit fast, probably like every 24 hours. It seems like it's 3 or 4 minutes fast, which I guess you can't blame it, because it's probably from the 1920s. It's got a really neat dial on there, and it's pretty clean. You got an original bracelet on there, nothing too fancy, but it pairs with it well. This is a neat watch. I'm gonna open up the back here and take a look at the movement. All right, there you can see, guys, there's a nice looking movement there. This is also 15 joules, pretty good for that era, and this is Goring Watch Company. It's running strong. And the case does say gold plated. So a nice rolled gold plated case. And I think I'm gonna have no trouble selling this watch. It's a nice watch, it's keeping time well. So this is gonna help me recuperate my money. And let's move on to that last watch. You guys are really gonna like this one. And I didn't mention this, but I got this lot on eBay. So this watch in particular kind of went unnoticed on this auction. And I'm gonna tell you why. So this is a World War I Patria. I think that's how you pronounce it. Patria or Patria men's wristwatch. And the reason why this watch is a little special is because obviously it's a World War I issued watch. And Patria actually shares, one of their founders was a founder of Omega. So I don't know the whole story. There's kind of like a lot of conflicting information online. I don't think there's a lot of records of it, but I think Omega used to make Patria watches under the name Patria before they were Omega. I think they didn't become Omega till close to the 1900s. Go ahead and fact check me if you want. But this is in fact a Patria watch, and they were out of business for a long time, and they started making watches again. And so you can go to their website and look at their history, and this is in fact a trench watch. This would be issued to a soldier. And I really like this watch because it just encompasses military, in my opinion. This is a time where wristwatches were becoming more popular for soldiers. It was more practical for them to wear it on their wrist. And can you imagine just having a pocket watch on the battlefield, having to reach down in your pocket or something and pull it out? It makes a lot more sense that you can just look at your wrist and see what time it is. And so I think that's really fascinating about it. Now, as you can see, it does need some work. It's missing a crown, unfortunately, and actually pretty much 99.9% of the radium painted dial is worn off. Now, there is somebody I saw on eBay, and they specialize in just painting trench watch dials with safe paint, and that's something I'd probably do. I think it was around like 40 or 50 bucks to do it. So I'm gonna have to put some money into this watch, get a crown, get it repaired, possibly get the numbers repainted. But this is a beautiful watch because it's part of Omega's history. I'm not going to sit here and call it an Omega watch. That's like calling a Chevy like a Cadillac, you know. Just because they're both from General Motors doesn't mean you can call a Chevy a Cadillac. This is still a Patria watch, but it's definitely associated with Omega. And let's get this open up so we can look at it. And Fleurier Watch Company, it looks like their name is on the movement. Now, I'm a little confused with that because it doesn't say Patria. I know a lot of times watch companies had other watch companies make their movements, so I'm gonna have to read more about that. That's always been a little confusing to me. But I have seen this exact watch with the Fleurier Watch Company sell for some decent money, and if this watch gets restored, it's not going to have the same value as an Omega watch, but you know, restored with a nice strap, repainted dials, it's probably at least a couple $100 watch. So I'm probably going to put some money into this and add it to my collection, you guys. I'm currently expanding my watch collection like crazy, and I've been really into military dials lately, or military watches from different eras. So I'm going to be having a video soon where I compare different watches from different wars in our history, which is going to be super fascinating. So yeah, really cool watch, and I'm looking forward to showing you guys what it looks like when it's finished. Well, that's it for the video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed me sharing these watches with you. If you have any input on what I should do or not do with the watches, don't hesitate to drop a comment down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, you guys, so you can be notified with future content. All right, everybody, take care.